Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, welcome everyone. Good. So I'm going to use a little of my notes here. Good day to everyone. Welcome to our monthly AsiaVR Association live stream roundtable. My name is Don Anderson. I'm the chair and co-founder of the association. This has really been, we over the last 3 months, we've been doing monthly live stream sessions with folks from the industry across the board. We have some really esteemed guests today too as well. So we're really the whole focus of the AsiaVR Association, and we hope that more people will join in. Is to drive awareness and understanding of what was happening. You know, what is going on in this space. There's a lot of activity. I just, for today, we've brought together 3 industry experts, as you can see here. 2 longtime members of the VR and Asia community here in Singapore. Ender of Hiverlab, Andrew of weARVR, and Emilios actually is joining us from the UK. And he's a specialist recruiter with Immersive Search. So just again, some things here that I just want to cover before we get right into it. As we've been doing the last few months in our live streams, we're really going to unpack all of the commotion around the metaverse. And in particular today, we're going to talk about whether we're prepared to actually resource and staff its construction. Just for some housekeeping, if you are viewing live, please add your comments to the stream and we'll be able to add those to the flow too as well. So with that, let's kick it off. We're going to go round clockwise. So we'll start off with Emilios to do a little quick introduction of yourselves and overview of your business area focus. So over to you, Emilios.
Hi there. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. It's an honor to speak with everyone today. My name's Emilios. I'm based in London in the UK, and I'm a co-founder and specialist recruiter at Immersive Search. We've been recruiting specifically in the AR/VR space for just under 2 years. And although previously my background was telecommunications recruitment, after seeing COVID and the impact, we sort of decided to take a step back, understand a little bit about the hyper-connected world, the key technologies associated with it, and AR/VR really stood out for us. So in terms of what our mission is, it's to help people find work, help people upskill through our training partners, and work with universities to try and create clear pathways for graduates to enter the industry. I'd say most of the roles we tend to fill at the moment are sort of software engineering, software development, UI, UX, technical artists, 3D artists, and yeah, that's a little bit about what we do. There are 4 people in the team, so it's myself. I'm in London. Mariam's also in London. She's co-founder, operations director. Jason's our head of growth. He's actually in Singapore. I haven't had the chance to meet him in Singapore yet, under the current climate, but I hope to be able to arrive on site soon. And yeah, we have a remote technical team based in India. The reason why we have that is quite simple. 90% of what we do is recruitment, whether that's permanent or contract recruitment solutions. As an ad hoc basis, as we've grown, we've received requirements on an ad hoc basis, whether that's AR/VR technical writing, design, or prototyping. I'm not really someone who can do that, so we need help. So our team help us with that. So yeah, a little bit of a nutshell. So help people get jobs, help people upskill, work with educational institutions to try and create clear pathways. And I think the bigger goal is to just contribute to the process of making these technologies safe, accessible, and inclusive for the global community.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emilio. So we'll go to Andrew next.
Very good introduction. I've got a lot of catching up to do. Yeah. Well, I'm based here in Singapore. I've been here for 12 years now. I've actually got two companies here. One of them, Picture Perfect Productions, that does the sort of regular sort of content stuff. And we've been working in the VR space now for sort of 7 years, and officially set up weARVR.one 18 months ago. Actually, it was in the middle of COVID that we officially set it up. We're seeing a lot of growth, very exciting times. We've been very, very lucky with the work that we're doing with the Singapore government. More on what weARVR.one is more about learning development, soft skills training. So it's really looking at developing concepts and a product that really ultimately can make a change, and yeah, help people learn, help people get better, help people understand with things, you know, around unconscious bias, office disputes, difficult conversations, all of that kind of side of things. We develop the entire packages in-house. Everything is all based here in Singapore, from sort of concept to direction to the production, filming, post-production, scripting. So yeah, it's all fun times and a lot of exciting things on the cards for next year.
Right on. Let's go to Ender.
Okay, sure. So maybe I just quickly do a screen sharing. Meanwhile, I just give some narratives, since you know, I can just use a simple introduction video to give some highlights of what we do. So it's okay for you. Maybe I can try this, share screen.
And it might not work, so my suggestion is, why don't we just talk through it? Why don't you just give a top, sort of right up the top, sort of view.
Okay, also okay. Yeah. So yeah, my name is Andrew, founder of Hiverlab. So we have been in this industry for 6 years already. So I think for us, early stage, we have been doing a lot of immersive solutions, like 360 video productions, interactive AR, VR for like marketing communications, and like trainings and learnings. I think since 2018, we start to be more focused on building our own product to drive the users' growth. Like we built our own product, like the virtual learning product called StoryHive. And nowadays we also have two products. One is called Cloudspot, another one is called Eracleous, which are offshore product. Users can use it for create their own virtual experiences and also augmented experiences. Then nowadays we also have a pretty in-depth focus on industry level of like immersive solution, like spatial digital twin type solutions. Because when the pandemic hit the whole economy, we realized that the essential service, which is also quite important to maintain those infrastructure, to maintain the connection, to ensure that they're able to empower the future workers. So that's where we spend a lot of R&D effort, work with partners to build the spatial digital twin type of a solution for people to have a more like augmented enhancement of works, and also like more like a transparent data visualization in the field. So those are the domain that we have been working on recently. Yeah. And that's probably covers what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen, for all your introductions. Lots of divergence and different specializations too as well. You know, it's been such a wild year. We're coming to the end. It's like, I can't imagine what, I mean, this is outside of the COVID experience too. I'm just talking about the industry per se. You know, there are so many different viewpoints, often opposing, and, you know, the dialogue that's sort of erupted and emerged over the last few months around the metaverse, pretty much actually dating back to Q2 when Zuckerberg and his senior executives happened to say metaverse 20 times. Actually 20 times in the Q2 investor briefing, and then ever since then it's been an avalanche. You know, from your perspective, in terms of what you're entertaining in terms of business inquiries, how much truth is to the claim that this is going to be the next $1 trillion industry? This was again a quote from Epic CEO Tim Sweeney. You know, is the hype to be believed? And I'd like to throw it to Andrew to take that one off the cuff.
Well, we're just short of that $1 trillion. Yeah.
But in all seriousness,
you picked the wrong person. Honestly, it's just started. I'm not going to make any predictions because they'll probably all be wrong. Look, there's some fantastic stuff. You know, you look at what companies like Virbela started, you know, just before the whole COVID thing hit. You know, Virbela had their little space, you know, and their share price went from like nothing to ridiculous in a short space of time. I mean, yeah, it's going to grow, and it will be. And you've got, you know, products like what Ender does, and our partners in Australia, Snowball, do, building these sort of virtual spaces with avatars floating in and doing stuff. Yeah, there's a purpose for it and there's a use for it, but the thing is that you've got to think, well, what is the purpose of wanting to jump in there? It's not the be all and end all of everything. And you know, we have clients come to us, talk about all sorts of content, and someone will say, oh, we want to do a VR thing about this. And when you ask them why, they go, oh, because it's cool. I said, if it's not going to work. And it's kind of like saying, someone saying, oh, I want to hammer a nail in and I want to buy a screwdriver. It doesn't work. So you've got to be realistic in what you're wanting to achieve with it. And that's it, really, I think.
Yeah. Oh, fair point. And Ender, I mean, we go back, we've been doing this AsiaVR Association stuff from way back when, and we had lots of meetups and all kinds of stuff. You were there. You know, we haven't touched base in a while, right? In the last few years, from your perspective, what has it been like? What have you been hearing? You're doing projects, you're busy, you're active, but generally we saw that really wild time of hype in around 2016, 2017, and then it got kind of quiet. What are you getting these days in terms of inquiries? How are you explaining this to people?
Yeah, I think for us, every company as a startup, you need to look at whether you hit the rock, means at the right window. Sometimes you might have a good weapon, you might have a good technologies, good teams, good resource, but maybe the time is not there. So early, when we just started this direction back to 2015, we realized that immersive technology, which is a fancy word, can bring attraction, can bring opportunities. So back to time, those opportunities will come in basically because the user look at something fancy, do something new, innovative, something they haven't tried before. So I think building a brand at the early stage to build yourself as innovators, pioneers in this industry, they do give you a good attraction. But as you said, as you mentioned, yes, after a while, after the whole industry, most of the POC has been done and most POC have been deployed. Then whether there will be revisit of the case, whether it be a recurring usage, whether it be a sustainable development of the project, whether it be project coming from a POC to a full operation large scale level, which is very rare. That's why after 2-3 years, then the industry gets a bit quiet because everyone has tried. Then most of people have screwed up, honestly speaking. It's not really a perfect solution back to time. A lot of hardware that was developed back to 2015-16 now no longer exists. And so definitely there are a lot of legacy from those projects have to be migrated to more like accessible platforms. But the legacy, one of the key legacy of this whole movement is the pity. It wasn't properly done, so it kind of killed the passion for another visit of this kind of opportunities. But nowadays, after 2019, I think this whole thing being mentioned again because people are looking at the transformation. This transformation is driven by the pandemic. People look at this alternative option become probably the only way out. I think whenever you look at all these limitations, and nowadays we look at virtual event, maybe used back to 2018, there are already a lot of virtual event companies. All of them, they are really struggling. They pretty behave just like a website company. They provide a web service, but provide a virtual event company service. The reason why people choose virtual event back to 2018 is simply because it's something that for kill time, they feel that there's nothing that's wrong because there's no limitation to do physical event. But after a while, it becomes the only choice. That actually grows a lot of virtual event startups, companies, they're able to pivot pretty well. And also, I think what we realize is that nowadays, a single company, you are facing a global competition. So they are definitely a company from Europe, from US, from Singapore. They also start to explore similar opportunities. Meanwhile, we are also going out. We are going to Asia and other European countries to actually also getting the user to our product. I think now the digital transformation is actually giving every party equal opportunities. If you are a good product, you are confident to face the global competition, then you can survive much better. But if you always focus on domestic market, they might face a lot more pressure at this moment. I think that's something we definitely will try to build more innovative solutions to make sure that we are able to meet global benchmark at this moment. So that will help with our sustainability.
I want to stick to Singapore just for the moment. Emilios, we're going to come to you very quickly because in a bit. But just staying on that element of the Web 3.0, I was just explaining this, or trying to explain the metaverse to a friend, former colleague in Japan, who was asking, what is this about, metaverse? You surely must be getting the same question. We're hearing a lot about this metaverse. What is your definition of the metaverse? And Ender, how do you answer that if you get those types of questions?
Yes, okay, that's a great question. I mean, I really count this. This is about the 21st times that I've been asking this question. It's about what's your opinion of the metaverse. Every time I've been asked a question, I'll count it. I'll count it in my notebook. Yeah, so I think in the beginning, there are some clients asking us. After all, there are a lot of blockchain NFT players asking us what's our opinion. Then I realized, actually, even the user in such a 1-2 months, they are evolving. They are evolving to pick up the concept. Nowadays, I see bank pick up metaverse. Recently, I just saw the advertisement that UOB is doing metaverse as one of the branching, and DBS also doing metaverse as well. I think those are quite unique. To me, I feel that there's a lot of passion in understanding, try to understand how can they use metaverse. But in my opinion, when we are seeing a clarity of technical roadmap of metaverse, then we become very calm down. Because eventually the technical roadmap of metaverse is still have to deliver in the ultimate engine, ultimate environment. It's either a web or either like a mobile, either a VR device, which is still just part of experiences. And this is still just experiences that you can alternate yourself from other experiences. For example, like gaming, purely gaming, or purely other like entertainment, like online video streaming. So it is still fighting for traffic, fighting for the eyeballs. So it's unlikely you can use any metaverse to transform a whole business immediately into another type of business. So I think that's probably eventually the fundamental challenge of playing around metaverse from the outsider. I think for us, people might see us as an insider because we are very familiar with immersive tech. So usually when those users coming to us, they say, "Oh, you guys are already a metaverse company. You guys already do those virtual environment. You have AR, VR. That's right, it's a metaverse." I think for us, we still have to answer the questions: what's the application? Whether I just simply say I'm no longer a VR company, I'm a metaverse company, does it mean I have a new client coming to us? Right? So it's still the same people I'm talking to. Yeah, so I think eventually same people look at the same thing, but they just try to have a better label of the business to make sure that we all buy in the new economy. Does it last for long? I think it's hard. I think for us, as long as we know what we do exactly, the value we're delivering, that will make whatever term we're playing around sustainable.
Andrew, I got a feeling you probably get similar sort of approaches and questions, and how do you address this? How do you frame it up?
If it's a simple answer, it's like I say, imagine a PlayStation game and you're one of the characters in it and can do stuff. But I mean, I've simplified it recently. Somebody saying, it really combines sort of social gaming, commerce, entertainment, all in one space. And really, it's something that people still can't get their head around. But I also point them to like Ready Player One and all of that to look at it. But it's I mean, I think it's going to change every single day with what someone's interpretation of it, some spin someone's going to give it. I mean, I think we all probably see it online with people putting something up about the metaverse, and it's just like a virtual background in a studio. Which is not what it's about. And it's still finding its feet, and it's sort of hard to really explain it properly because I don't believe it properly exists to be as effective as it's probably going to be in a year's time. So it's one of those things that sort of talk about gaming, talk about Unreal Engine, talk about Bitcoin, blockchain, all mixed into one, and it's a visual thing. But I prefer just to show people. It's like with our VR projects, even people who don't get it, I say, look, here it is. Put the headset on. Look at it. Put the headset on it. They go, oh, right, I get it. then they can start figuring out stuff. But to try and explain it to somebody who's not experienced it, I mean, look, it's a similar thing with our video production. You know, oh, we want to do the video. Why? Oh, because it's cool. Our competitors are doing it. Right. Okay, so what's the outcome you want? Oh, we're not sure. What are you going to do with it? Oh, I don't know. But we know we should have it. Oh, and by the way, we don't have much money. All right,
Always the case, right?
hang on. I'll get my 14-year-old son. He can use an iPhone. You know, but yeah, look, it all comes back to that, you know, expectations. And I think that's the same thing we could all say. It's expectations, you know, or the phrase I use all the time. People have a, you know, champagne taste and a beer budget. So, you know, oh, we want all of that, but oh God, really? And yeah, it's going to take months to build and develop for you. Oh, really? Oh, but it looks so easy. Yeah, well, because we're all professionals, we make it look easy. But, you know, you explain to someone, oh, to do some, you know, work with Unreal and build something from scratch. Oh, why does it take so long? I thought you were experts. Yeah, we are, and we do it properly. You know,
I love that. You're giving me an awesome segue there, Andrew, because I want to go to Emilios.
Oh, you're buying the drinks.
On the talent side, which is of course an overarching theme of this session, is the ability to pick up the picks and axes and go to it. And Emilios, I mean, it'd be great to get kind of your viewpoint on this. A couple questions here: why you went into this space, what was the lure, and what are you seeing out of the UK? And I know you have an international lens on this, but I'd be very curious about the energies that you're seeing and the inquiries you're getting.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you. We got into the space because we saw the potential. We knew the challenges we would face. No universal language for what roles look like. No defined guidelines for how the technologies are designed or developed. No clear pathways for students to get into the industry. And it takes a lot of work to understand really who people are, their life experiences, what their mission is, what their workplace culture is like, what skills are important to them as opposed to nice to haves. And yeah, that's why we just set up Immersive Search. So our recruitment process is quite different to your average, like a standard recruitment process, and we'll tell you why. Before we even take a spec and go and search for people, we need to understand who we're trying to help. So, what is their mission? How do they want to make impact? You know, what's their use case? And then we need to try and understand what their technical requirements are and also soft skill requirements. And then what we would do is take all that information, discuss it as a team, write it down, go back to our client, just double check there are no gaps. And then when they're happy, we will then take that and go into our community to find profiles. So, you know, all the candidates in our community, all the people in our community, we have personal relationships with, and it's a really sort of boutique tailored service. It's not a case of getting a job spec, posting it on a job board and waiting for the CVs to come in. All the specs on our website are specs we've created based on our understanding of our clients' demands. And then we try to find people, and it's all sort of integrated into our website. So if you're looking for work, immersive-search.com, if you go into the candidate portal list, you'll see some roles there. Now, I took some notes down going to that point about the $1 trillion industry. Well, I'm quoting Statista now. So Thomas Alsop. So according to 2021 XR global market size, you're looking at around $31 billion US. XR headset shipments forecasted 2024, $76.7 million US. The sector most disrupted by XR, healthcare, medical devices. Okay. Now, according to PwC's report, Seeing is Believing, which is one of the reports that motivated us to get into the industry. If you look at their forecast, to 2019, 46.4 billion, 2025 forecast, 476 billion, and then 2030, 1.5 trillion. Sorry. So you can see some kind of link there between what Mr. Zuckerberg's saying and what PwC are forecasting. Now, on the enterprise side of things, product and service development, healthcare development and training, process improvements, retail and consumer. Lots of issues, addressing cultural concerns, focusing on return on investment rather than cost, improving the UX, which is a big issue. And yeah, so there's enormous potential there. How are we seeing the UK market? I'd say at the moment, a lot of the roles we're getting tend to be on the programming side, whether that's, C#, programmers experienced with Unity, whether that's C++ experts familiar with Unreal. They tend to be the key requirements. Technical artists, 3D artists, and I'd say if we're looking at the immersive web space as well, specifically weARVR developers, people who have extensive background in 3JS, A-Frame, 8th Wall, and Babylon.js. Yeah.
Hey, Emilios, we've got a question from Kim XR, and thanks for that line. She's asking this is a question we got here. Let me just read it out here. And Kim, thanks so much for joining again. You're always a great participant. Thank you for your time today, sharing your thoughts. Recently came across an XR tech stack on LinkedIn. It's here. I hope everyone can see that. I felt it was a comprehensive slide or guide. Was wondering if any of the panelists would like to jump in and comment on if the infographic is close to the kind of skills that the market is hiring for and whether it's realistic. Can you all see that? Is that it's also in our chat?
Not. I was going to say thank you, Kim. I'm happy to jump in on that. I can't really see it so well, but I'll give you an example. Okay, so we have a role for a senior front-end developer. Okay, at the moment, fully remote. Now, you could call it a front-end developer, you could call it a React developer, you could call it a full-stack web developer. Okay. Now, our client product is a browser-based pixel-streamed 3D virtual events platform that's built with Unreal Engine that provides audiences with totally configurable and unmatched experience. If you look at job responsibilities, it's implementing responsive UI components using React, writing maintainable, scalable, and performant code, installing best practices for software development and ensuring designs meet requirements, and collaborating with in-house engineering teams to brainstorm on UI enhancements and potential use cases. Skill requirements, developed visually appealing UI using React, proficient in understanding object-oriented client-side scripting features, not limited to using ES6 and TypeScript, integrating CI/CD pipelines in repositories, so GitHub Actions or GitLab workflow, knowledge of React tools, including React.js, Webpack, Enzyme, Redux, and Flux. And nice to haves is experience with 3JS and Unreal Engine. So that's some information. But if that's okay, I also want to share another role.
I just had a thought for you. I think
Yes.
we could all put our heads together and we could build you a recruitment metaverse.
Sounds awesome.
And then, seriously, look, I mean, then all of this, everyone can come into this little virtual metaverse world.
Yeah.
And we can all do a little bit of a revenue share. And everyone can come in. If you're looking for the metaverse, come in and check it out.
Awesome.
I've just given that tip out to the whole world. But that's all right. I've just spoken to my lawyer and copyrighted.
Yeah. Andrew, you raise a good point, though. I mean, well, all of this, we're talking about this immersive world, right? So is everything going to happen inside the metaverse, hiring as well? So you're actually recruiting people within that space. You have to be within this immersive space to get chosen or whatnot. And
Well,
I mean,
I got very strong points about this whole thing, right? And I believe that things like Unreal Engine and all that, and being able to recreate the realistic representations of humans, it'll be possible to exist in a virtual world with a very non-physical relationship. But the thing is that how are you going to differentiate between virtual and real? Are you going to be stuck in some virtual space? Is it going to end up like, in the early days of the internet where, you go and pay $1.50 an hour or whatever in an internet cafe to browse online and do whatever, and they keep charging you. And I can see it's going to happen where you'll go in there and it'll be like, instead of having a foot massage, and I can see Ender's going, yep. And so instead of a foot massage, you sit there and put the headset on. And there's my credit card and bill me at the end of it. And you'll take your headset off and you'll be like, let me back into that virtual world.
Yeah.
And, for what Emilios is doing, why not? You're marketing and selling to that world, that space, then this is what we do. Come on in. Sorry, that's just my 2 cents.
No, it's valid. It absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of discussion going on now. Again, what this could amount to. Emilios, when you're talking to brands and business, and I'd love to hear Ender's point on this too, as well. Do you consider all these potential sort of hypotheticals or possibility as what is real, what isn't? But even before we get to that point, do we have the resources to build all of this? That's the thing, right? I mean, you got to have legs and arms and all that too. Emilios, we were talking about
cash. This. Cash. You don't need legs and arms. You need cash.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And that's such a good point, because when we speak to some, when we receive new inquiries and we understand their requirements, we have a detailed brief of what they're trying to achieve and what they need. Sometimes budgets are just so far off, and we get it, and we experience that regularly as well. If you look at sort of functions in AR/VR project teams, developers, managers, technical artists, UI/UX designers, training designers, and technical writers. Some use cases, people are working on training simulations, maintenance, BIM architectural visualization, collab tools, and product visualization and configuration. If we're speaking specifically from a dev perspective, key skills that we see: avatars, interaction design, rendering and optimization, holographic interfaces, shaders, asset creation, import management, cloud network architecture, experimentation, rapid prototyping, writing scripts, and source code development.
Yeah, that's pretty extensive.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard recruiting in this marketplace because, let's face it, people, especially good people, aren't necessarily in the market looking for work. You have to build relationships with people, because people need to trust you if they're going to share their data with you. So a lot of the time, it could take a few months to get hold of the right candidate. Everyone's busy. And then you've got clients' expectations because they needed someone yesterday. The right person may have a notice period, which is 2 to 3 months. The right person may also have interviews with some big hitters whose interview process is really extensive. Some people have 12, 14 hours worth of interviews, and they would want to wait on the dream job, for example, than some of the roles that we may have available with some of the startups we're supporting. So it's difficult. It's really, really difficult. And I think we've just got to raise awareness and keep sharing and collaborating from a grassroots level locally in every country in the world. I don't think there's really any way to do it. Just keep networking, keep volunteering on open source projects, work on your portfolio, and reach out to hiring managers directly if you're not getting any feedback on job applications. Stand out.
Yeah, makes sense. Absolutely. Ender, I mean, again, you're
Yep.
how big is your company now? How many people do you have working for you at the moment?
I think for now we have 25 people.
25
in
people.
Sweden.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Sweden.
How
So,
that's a good crew. How do you
yeah.
recruit? What's your process?
For us, we look at Asia as the office concept. So in Asia, we look at different countries, and the nature of economy, then education background, and the general talent pool. So we decide to grow with India as mainly the backend team. So we actually have a pretty established the whole backend develop team in India, focusing on lots of platform level of development. Then in Singapore, we focus more on R&D and management. Because in Singapore, what we realize is it's very easy to recruit talent who are well trained in management skill plus tech skill. That's why in Singapore, all the PM actually stay in Singapore, and all the R&D team focus at Singapore. So we build product, we do conceptualization, because when you look at your own product, you need to move very fast. So you rather have a smaller team. Each of them have maybe 1 or 2 skills, so you can quickly brainstorm and do rapid prototyping. Then for other countries, we focus more like recruiting, executing role. So like a designer, 3D artist, or like a visual artist, or general developer, which is mainly developer for project, which we do have a few of those roles in other countries. But we don't really recruit this kind of candidate in Singapore. I think Singapore is more like R&D centric. So that's our strategy.
I see. Spread it out a bit more. Do you find that some markets, you kind of alluded this to Singapore, is the management side, but do you find that some markets have greater special capabilities, or there's more specialized in some areas that are necessary for development and build and organization and management versus others?
I think for India and Vietnam, because these two countries have more staff. I think Vietnam, they are compared with in general communications and business mindset. Vietnam is definitely more established in recruiting people who know how to manage business as a similar quality of how to manage in Singapore. Then for India, it's more like a developer. I think India, because we work together with a university to also look at the talent that we can just drop them before they graduate. So we have enough buffer time to train them properly and get them on board. I think they definitely grow pretty fast and quite cost effective as well. I think this something we notice in these two countries.
Fantastic. Andrew, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Can I just ask one question on that? Where do you see that talent pool in Singapore for the developers? Because you're outsourcing it to India and the other countries. Is there a lack of it here in Singapore, or is it just a cost that once you take it offshore?
Yeah, I think for Singapore, it's more like the quality of the developer is important. So right here, we don't really recruit junior developer. We only focus at senior developer. Usually, they can fund us from LinkedIn. I think we do spend quite a lot of effort on building the brand. So usually our organic recruit channel is also quite active in the receiving applications.
Oh, that's interesting, because we've found that there's a lot of very good talent that are hiding, and they don't market themselves. They don't talk about it. And then we've been lucky. We found 3 very, very good developers.
I think once you can,
and they just hide away, and they're doing some amazing stuff. And then you find them, you go, well, hang on a minute, what are you doing?
Yeah, actually, you can check either you can check GitHub. You can check GitHub. You can also check the artist team. So these are the 2 platforms that usually people will share their artworks or share their codings. That's where you can find someone quite.
No, that's what I mean. The talent here in Singapore, it's the same in the production business. They're very, very talented, but they're not the ones that go, here I am, this is what I do. And we've been very lucky to find a lot of good people, and we've trained as well, because a lot of what we do with the VR training is based with 360 video with an interactive layer into it, and we've got a partner in Holland that enables us with all that interactive part of it. But we're finding it, there is a good talent pool here, but it's sort of like anything, we'll find it.
Well, you've got Emilios too in there. He's got, apparently
no money though. No money. I got no money. Sorry. Really, that much?
But
And
Emilios,
this is-
you were nodding your head through this. I mean, we
Yeah,
talked
this
about
is
this
some really good points, some really good points. I think, yeah, India is somewhere where we see, strong, technical talent. And if you look at other areas as well, I'd say, you could include Armenia, Ukraine, Serbia, Poland, Russia, Vietnam as well.
What
And
about in the Netherlands? Can I interrupt you in the Netherlands? Because I've seen a lot, and the work with our partner in Holland, there's a lot of talent over there.
honestly, we've only got one client based there at the moment, and off the top of my head, I think we've probably only got about 30 or 40 people on our system based there. So there's definitely room for growth there, certainly on our side. But I think the challenge for us is finding developers with designer mindsets. Because if you look at skills, if you look at roadmaps, we tend to break it down in the following ways. So if you were to say 9 must-have skills to become an AR dev, and I'm quoting Rajat Gupta here, you look at skill 1, programming, okay? Skill 2, software development, whether that's web app, mobile app, or game dev. Because in 6 months, if you have that experience, you'd be required to, have some knowledge of UI, UX development based on a given mock, adding third-party libraries, or connecting your client side to some sort of API. Skill 3 could be general XR knowledge. With a developer mindset. Skill 4, you must know your XR software development kits. AR Core, AR Kit, AR Foundation, mobile platforms such as Android and iOS. Each VR headset has its own software development kit. Oculus does, so does HTC Vive. Skill 5, machine learning and computer vision. Design mindset. So skill 6 is UX design knowledge. When we say UX design knowledge, incorporating interaction, studying users, understanding where an experience falls short, studying UX design first. So topics like interaction design principles, usability, design thinking process, storytelling, HCI, and accessibility. Skill 7, 3D modeling and animation. If you're interested in both design and development, graphics rendering, so shader programming languages like Metal, HLSL, GLSL. And then on a side note, soft skills and improving your social media presence. And like Ender mentioned as well, Git, that's also an effective way of people to market themselves.
Fantastic. We're really, we could keep going. I mean, we're 40 minutes into it, but this is just scratching the surface. And Kim XR, thank you again for your question too. Appreciate you continuing to join in. Maybe we'll get one last sort of summary. There's so much more. We could probably do another session at some point in time, but I'm just cognizant of time. So I'm going to move that old crystal ball element there. And predictions for 2022, we're coming to the end. We're only 3 weeks out. Wrapping this year up, who could have believed it? Are there any particular areas that concern you most? And you're going to start with you. We discussed the advances in production. Oh yeah, you're the target. It's all a result of that coffee and a beer.
I tell it the way it is, and I've been in this business long enough to see so many things change and grow. And I've seen a lot of people talking the talk, talking vapor, and then they disappear. And some make a lot of money and disappear, and some make none and disappear.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the question I was going to ask you about was we've talked about production outputs, the advances. I mean, if you look at Epic's Unreal Engine 5, the last 2 weeks, what they've been featuring, and of course the Matrix output too. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, it's a great example of what is seemingly now possible in terms of the whole realistic representation of humans. How do you envision this impacting consumers, creators, our psychology?
Well, which one is it? Which one? Pick one.
Pick a lane. You pick a lane.
You can't have all three. Well, look, there's companies like Pixatope who, it matches in with Unreal Engine. Pixatope is doing some amazing work. I mean, that you may have seen the tiger or the leopard jumping around. It was a panther actually, jumping around the stadium in the US. That was using Pixatope software to create that and bring that into a live element. That kind of creativity is going to develop more and more and more. For sure it will. But I think, for if anything, to be the wet blanket in the whole thing, we're surrounded by so much tech and so many devices, and this is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. It's really a matter of understanding how to use it, connect it to the ecosystem, and then seeing some end result to it, not just kind of building something with no purpose, if that makes sense.
I'm on mute. I'm back off mute. Thank you, Andrew. I agree. There has to be a sense of purpose and output, but I don't know if necessarily a lot of businesses at this moment are really thinking about that. It's what you said earlier. It's like, how much? What can you do? And how much it's going to cost?
Well, we had that with Pixatope, and we're very close to some partnerships with them on some things for next year. And we were speaking to a client here who saw the thing done with the panther in America. And they're like, oh, it'll be so great. We want to do this next year. And the one in America cost, $300,000+ US. Obviously it was sponsored. Well, it's obviously the sponsor is when you see it. But it'd never been done before. And it's had, millions of shares globally. And I think you've probably seen it, Andrew, haven't you, what I'm talking about? Yep. Millions and millions of shares globally. So people go, oh, it's expensive. But what's the end purpose? Well, the end purpose is we've got this event, our stadium, our branding. We're going to do this, never been done before. And millions of people are going to share it. Millions of eyeballs see it.
I'd love to. Please send me a link to that, Andrew. I'd love to.
Yeah, well, look up Pixatope.
Okay.
They're based in the UK. They're probably someone you should go and talk to as well, because they're frantically hiring people everywhere, and it's cool stuff. Pixtope, Pixatope, and that's it's just cool stuff. But it's just it scares me to think that probably my kids will end up in some virtual world and never be able to go and smell the roses or fall over and scrape their knee or anything. It's a nice comfortable bed and a VR headset, and you can probably save a lot of money because you can feed them virtual food. It could be a weight loss thing. It could be a weight loss program. There's so many good ideas here. Lose weight here, put on the virtual thing, and and you wouldn't
raise a good point.
Well, look, I make fun of it, but there's a lot of things to think about and be worried about.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at even what Keanu Reeves in this interview that he had this week about the Matrix reboot, or I don't know if it's really a reboot, but a sequel of a sequel. But they talked about Unreal Engine 5, and they talked about kind of like that visual representation. And he said he was at a dinner, and it's worth looking if you can find, folks. We'll try and share it in our update here on the Facebook group thread. But he said that he was at a dinner with a director friend of his, and they had a 14-year-old, 16, 18-year-old. They're all the kids. His kids were there, and they were talking about what is real and what isn't. And he was shocked by the youngest saying, or one of the kids saying, that it doesn't matter to them what's real or what's not. And that just is the state of affairs for this potential, this generation coming up. So will they or will they not necessarily be able to discriminate what is real and what isn't? Do they really give a damn? You've got an article today talking about NFTs being given away as Christmas gifts in the US. It's the hot
there's
thing.
all of us in this space and developing stuff, whether it's recruitment or what Ender does and what I do and all of that. We've still got a responsibility. Are we building a frightening world? You've got to have a little bit of, I think, responsibility to it to say, well, you got to be careful with this beast, because it could turn around and bite you extremely hard on the leg.
No, very valid, very valid. Ender, just in cognizant of time here again, your experience through Hiverlab. How do you envision the industry in Asia, particularly Singapore, Southeast Asia, running the Metaverse mall? Where's Asia's footprint in the Metaverse?
Yes, thanks. I think for us, we definitely have been observing this industry for a very long time. We starting as early stage players while we were playing around with other very senior players in this industry who have been in this domain for more than 10, 20 years, which they always carry on from the conventional immersive tech background into where they are now. I think when you look at the near future, we realize that this metaverse is not really a playground just for immersive tech company anymore. It's a playground for any company who actually have a capability to transform whatever they are doing in the physical world into a digital world. For example, if the company might be a building management system, so they might say, I want to transfer my whole building management system into an enterprise level of metaverse, like giving a 3D level of management to our customer. So they might be able to use this solution to build more like interactions of the systems to understand the data. Or eventually they might build more like a interactive experience for end user. Okay, they can be a metaverse player. So there are other players, they might transfer like casino to online casino. There might be players transforming that gaming industry to online gaming. So there might be a lot of these players, they will declare themselves into a metaverse business. See, this is definitely not right, because right now this metaverse, the nature definition of metaverse basically is metaverse. It's about beyond the universe that we are living within. So whichever way they're going to beyond in this digital world, you can call yourself as a metaverse. So for us like immersive tech players, we realize that our vision not only limits on how do we build better Unity or Unreal application. Our vision is more like based on whatever we learn from human interacting with machines, which highly rely on these immersive frameworks. How can we build more advancing, meaningful applications to actually drive the future trends for this industry? So we don't really only providing entertainment value. We don't really only providing value for people to kill time to actually have one time of marketing communication experiences. We want to build value to define a better human and information interaction. I think if we are able to achieve this, I think it will be a good achievement for Singapore, because Singapore has been always driving the whole smart city, smart nation movement. So there's a lot of emerging tech companies currently also incubating in Singapore. Nowadays, there's a lot of AI, autonomous vehicles, and those like agri-tech, all these technologies being cultivated. So if we can empower those industries, you can actually integrate and collaborate with those industries, which we are able to become tech enablers as emerging tech, not only on immersive tech. In that case, I think the vision of immersive tech company can be really utilized. I think in the near future, we do foresee that AI will take a significant share of this creation of content. And so for us, our role just understanding the engine, understanding how do we create front-end experiences might not be sufficient. We also need to understand how do we work with the rising of AI, which will be partially take part of what that we are doing.
Thank you, Ender. Appreciate that.
Can I say something? Sorry to interrupt, Don, again, mate. You know, I've got a few things about this whole space. I mean, you look at AI, and again, it's a scary thing. All right, call me the wet blanket again. You look at that replica, which someone introduced me to recently, that AI person that you can talk to. Frightening stuff. Absolutely frightening. And in the hands of, if you're depressed, it can take you the wrong way. If you're happy, it can take you the wrong way, whatever you want with it. And, and I tried it out, and I've shown friends of mine, and they're like, this is just too scary, because there's no management of how that AI is going to go, because it's not a human. It can't feel anything. It's got no empathy. And that's the thing of this regulation of it and management of it. Oh, there we go. Oh, God. Who did that? Did you do that?
I put that up.
She looks better on this than in the headset, but this thing, I don't know if you guys have all seen this, but I had a brief conversation with her, and we talked about drugs and guns, and she's like, I love taking drugs and I love guns, and it's basically using comments I make. I'm just and I think we said, I said, I'm really upset, and she said, I'm so sad that you're upset. I mean, it's just scary stuff, and this is
it is
someone's
unreal.
got to regulate this. Yes. Because it can be used for such good things, which is what my company weARVR.one is doing. with our stuff. But this kind of stuff, I mean, look at VR as well, can go the same way. But yeah, there's a lot of scary things that people need to look at and regulate very quickly. Maybe there could be a job on your site, Emilios, there. A metaverse regulator.
Yeah, compliance.
We got another great idea. Oh my God, I'm going to stop talking.
We're on fire, Andrew.
No,
You're just popping them out. Where's your lawyer?
Hang on a minute. The investor's just messaged me. He's watching it. He said, "What's that? You never told me about that at our last fundraising event."
I was going to jump in and just add in some trends to watch for 2022, seeing as we touched on that briefly as well. I'm citing AR post here. Machine learning, mainly the advancement of machine learning. We're beginning to see its use specifically in AR to improve detection of environments and objects within those environments. Full body tracking. Genie yesterday, I think a few days ago, released a SDK body tracking. A body tracking SDK. So it's worth checking that out. That's of interest to you. Contact-free mixed reality, all-in-one VR, going wireless, and the metaverse or the multiverse or someone's verse. Cross-applicant content as well. It's just some trends to watch out for.
Incredible. On that, Emilios, I was going to ask.
What was that? Sorry, what was that? Metaverse? What did you say? Megaverse?
Oh, yeah, as I say, yeah.
Yeah, multiverse. Oh, okay.
Multiverse, or someone's verse.
Yeah. I'm going to write that down, mate.
All right, Emilios, one more bit. Your advice to employers in this space, thinking about 2022. Anything that you would sort of top of mind, top 3 things to be thinking about?
Yeah, get HR teams talking to hiring managers. A lot of candidates say job specs don't make sense. And, make sure that you have responsibility, a clear description of the mission and what you're trying to achieve. Some information based on the key requirements, responsibilities, and nice to haves. So job descriptions are really, really important. Responding to people send you their CV, taking into consideration that some people may not have seen their families for a long time or by themselves. There's no harm in just telling them why they've been unsuccessful and how, just to reply. Because a lot of the time, candidates are just fed up of applying because they feel like their CV is getting sent into a hole. So that's why in previous in the call, we advise people to be creative in their applications and try to apply to hiring managers directly. Thirdly, culture. Be honest with people, especially young devs. Be honest with the structure. Be honest with the environment. We've seen cases where young devs have been thrown into a deep end, expected to reinvent the magic wheel in the space of 2 months. They're burnt out. And now we're trying to tell them that it's not always going to be like that and they should consider other opportunities. So imagine for your young dev, you've had that bad experience and you're questioning whether you want to even return to the industry. So yeah, I'd say that's 3 key areas from us.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Emilio. So that is a lot of considerations there. It's going to be an exciting year ahead, and you're going to be busy. Everyone here is going to be busy. I would just like to wrap it up. Thank you all again for joining in and sharing your perspectives. Hugely insightful. I'd have to say this is one of the more of all the sessions we've had over the last few months. This has definitely been at the top of the list in terms of engagement and insight. So thank you. Great perspectives. We'll call it a wrap here. Again, thank you, Andrew, Emilios, and Ender for joining today. We will be uploading today's live stream to YouTube and LinkedIn for those who joined the session late, so you can catch all the stuff at the top. It'll also be, of course, permanently available on Facebook. Until then, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday. Stay safe, stay well, Look after yourselves. It's a
Thank
bright and crazy future ahead.
Likewise. Thank you,
We'll
everyone.
see you all in the metaverse.